now we're going to get into the questions that I actually wanted to have this conversation with Yvonne. Yes, we met each other, connected through our SB, but hearing her story on top of already having SB, she's going through another journey, and so we're going to get into those questions.
Now this may be the tearjerker because I feel them coming. They trying to well up.
Okay, like I said, wear the tissues. Wear the tissues. And I'm tearing up already. But I've been crying. Right.
Look, I'll have you crying, and then the next second I'll probably have you laughing at something.
Yeah. And we've cried. Well, I've cried, I've laughed. How did you find out that you have bladder cancer?
Ooh, Lord. Stage 3 bladder cancer. So, like I mentioned earlier,
yeah.
I talked about the urinary tract, the UTIs, frequent UTIs. They really don't know what mine in particular came from, because normally a person who's like a heavy smoker can contract bladder cancer. Never smoked a day in my life. Don't drink. I probably sip maybe a couple times, and it's just disgusting to me. So I'm not really a drinker.
Yeah.
They don't really know what caused it. So going back to Christmas 2022, Christmas Eve, I was good. Christmas Day, I didn't feel good at all. I didn't feel sick. I just felt like I needed to go to sleep. Like I was tired. So I stayed home Christmas Day 2022. Got some strength from the Lord, pretty much. Got back up on my feet. I was, not feeling good for a couple days. And then fast forward to February of 2023, I had to be admitted into the hospital for a UTI, or so I thought. They told me it was a UTI, so they treated me for the UTI and dehydration. And somehow the second time, it was February, February, I was good, March, and then April and May. Was it May? No, April, I was in the hospital again for another UTI. I may have my dates and months like a little mixed up, but it was somewhere in that time where I was admitted for a second time. This time I had a UTI, and I somehow, I guess from like the different antibiotics that I was on from for treating the UTI, I contracted C. diff, which is pretty much, it's colitis. It's inflammation of the colon. So we were talking about our poop issues earlier.
Yeah.
I was pooping for days.
Oh gosh.
And I mean, it was just coming out. I would go to the bathroom. Excuse me, I would go to the bathroom. 2 minutes later, gotta go again. I'm like, what is going on? Mm-hmm. And sometimes I couldn't even make it to the bathroom. That's like how watery and how intense it was. So they admitted me to the hospital. I was on like these antibiotics. They call it vancomycin, which is to treat the colitis. And they gave me something as well to treat the UTIs. So I get out of the hospital. I think the first time I stayed like 2 days. Second time I was admitted was 3 days. Fast forward, that was May. I was good. That was like the beginning of May. I was good for the rest of May. I was good for June. Here comes July. Whole nother ball game. Had to be, before I was admitted, I noticed that, typical UTIs, you have blood in your urine sometimes.
So I don't know when I have one. And I was gonna say something about that when you mentioned it earlier. I forgot because we
Mhm.
I feel like because we cat or we did or you did and I do cath myself, self cath myself, I feel like they're always gonna find some kind of bacteria in our urine. And I heard somebody, I don't know if it was a doctor or somebody, why are we treating it? We're just treating a problem that's gonna continue. So why
Yeah,
keep giving these
yeah,
people or these patients something that's gonna recur because they cath themselves.
because of the catheter. Yeah.
They're going
And
to.
my primary and my urologist, they never really liked to treat my UTI unless I was showing symptoms.
Mhm. And I've never
And
shown, so I think the first time I showed symptoms was 2021, around that time, 2020, 2021. It was around 2020.
mhm,
My back was hurting. Like it was hurting to walk, like something was sticking me. Coming to find out, I had a kidney infection or a stone. I don't know, it wasn't a stone, but I had a kidney infection. That's why
mhm,
my back was hurting.
yeah, yeah. So I never, my symptoms were just kind of, I just, your body, like when you're used to having them,
Mhm.
because I would never have like typical symptoms like fever and stuff. Like I never had a fever with a UTI, never. I just knew like sometimes my blood pressure it would cause my blood pressure to rise, my heart rate would go up, and I would be anxious
Mhm.
for nothing, literally. And I just knew certain times, like when it was time to like go to the hospital or call my doctor and be like, "Hey, think I have a UTI. Can I be checked?" So I just knew certain things, and it would always piggyback on my cycle.
Mm.
Whenever I would have my period, here comes a UTI. And then every time I would have a UTI, here comes my period. It's like it was a never ending cycle.
Yeah. Literally cycle.
Literally, yes. So it was July 9th. I had to be admitted into the hospital. That time I had a fever. I also still had C. diff. And C. diff, when you have C. diff, colitis, when you go to the bathroom, it's like a very distinct smell. It's your normal, oh, I ate something bad type of smell. It's like, what in the world is it?
Died in me.
Yeah, like, do you need to go to the hospital? Like, what is going? Because that's what I was asking myself. I was like, girl, do you need to go? Like, you need to go to the hospital. Like, you need to go see about that. And I had never heard of it before. I had never like C. diff. It stands for something else, but I can't pronounce the C word
Mhm.
because it's like a really long C word. So yeah, July 9th, I was admitted. I was home because I have my own place, but
Mhm.
I'm always at my mom's house. And
Mhm.
I was at home that particular time, and I had my one of my sisters.
Mhm.
Excuse me, one of my sisters was staying with me at the time, and I was telling her I was like, I don't feel good at all. Like I need to go to the hospital. So she came and got my mom, and we went to the hospital. And about 2, maybe 3 weeks before that, I had blood in my urine. But I was like, no, let me just drink some water and, just flush it out. And it flushed, but every time I would miss drinking water, it would come right back. So I was like, yeah, something is, I got a UTI, not never thinking it could be bladder cancer or anything. So closer to July 9th, we had like this family reunion or whatever, and I could not go for it because I did not feel good at all. That was like July 7th, I believe, or 8th. And I just stayed home, and I went from seeing blood in my urine to literally urinating blood, like pure blood. Like you could see, I mean, when you would I would go to the bathroom, the toilet bowl would literally be red. And I was like, oh, be good. But still never thinking, no, this, and me even Googling, it said it could be, signs of cancer. I'm like, no, I ain't got cancer. No, no. So I went to the hospital. I told them, my symptoms and things like that. So they were like, yeah, you need to be admitted. And they had to end up giving me potassium through my IV because my potassium levels were really low. And that's one of the most hurtful things in my life I have ever felt. I wanted to slap that nerve so bad. Oh my God, it hurted so bad. And they ended up doing a CT scan on my bladder, well, on my abdomen, and they found a mass. When they said something suspicious, a mass, still not thinking cancer. I'm like, okay, yeah, let me go see what this mass is or whatever. And they were like, make an appointment with your urologist, and so they can see. So I finally, probably 2 months after that, that was like a long time to wait.
Oh
I got an
yeah.
appointment. Yeah, like thank God for keeping me though. Um, so I did the appointment with my doctor. He did the cystoscopy. Didn't know that I should have been getting cystoscopies. Where they go in and look in your bladder. I should have been getting those long time ago, but I didn't know.
Oh yeah. Where they blow up your bladder and put the dye in it and whatnot.
No, he
They're
didn't use
different.
dye. That's urodynamics. No,
Yeah, something like that.
that's something. Yeah.
Yeah,
But the
that hurts, and
cystoscopy,
I hate
yeah,
it.
and you have to see how much you can hold and all that kind of
Yes,
cool.
I almost fell one time. The last time I had it done, I almost fell out. Like I got
Yeah,
faint.
I hated it. Yeah, and so I did that. The cystoscopy is pretty much, it's kind of like a pap smear, but they're looking at your bladder instead. Yeah. And yeah, that was interesting. So he went in and he was like, "Oh, I don't see nothing." I was like, "Oh, thank you, Jesus. He don't see what they see." Then he went up, "Oh, let me go up." Oh, that's what they're talking about. Oh Lord, okay. Still not thinking, no, this is just something. I don't know. So they were like, okay, well, we're gonna schedule what they call a TURBT. It's a transurethral resection of a bladder tumor, aka biopsy. So they did the biopsy the beginning of December. I had to go all the way through Christmas, not knowing what that
So
was.
this is a whole year later
This
from
is
when you first started having symptoms.
symptoms because it I didn't know that's what it was at the time, December 2022. What was I don't even know how long I had it, to be honest. So I started feeling weird December 2022, and I didn't have excuse me, I didn't have the biopsy until pretty much a year later, which was this past December. So they did the biopsy. That was December 13th. It took about excuse me, it took about a week for it to come back. Week and a half. I found out the day after Christmas. The day after Christmas. So I went through Christmas Eve and Christmas like with this in the back of my mind, like I have this appointment coming up. Like what? Like this could literally pretty much change my life. And so it was a um, it was an virtual appointment, and the doctor called me. Bless his heart, my oncologist. He called me um on video, and he had his whole setup where he had the screens up on my bladder. I'm like, sir, I don't know what I'm looking at. What is okay? So he explained to me, and once he finished pretty much saying what he said, I was like, so what does this mean? He was like, I'm so sorry, because he was really thinking it was just inflammation from the catheterized using a catheter and all this. And he was like, I don't know how to tell you this. I don't want to tell you this, but I have to. He was like, you have bladder cancer. And I couldn't feel my body anymore. I could not feel like I burst into tears. I fell into my mom's arms.
Good, you weren't by yourself.
Yeah, she was literally right there holding me. And he was trying to, continue to talk.
You didn't hear
I
nothing.
blacked
You don't hear nothing.
I blacked out.
Yeah.
And he was like, do you I was like, how? Like, are you sure? Like, I didn't know what to say. But I got myself together. I kind of held myself together. I broke down at one time. I held myself together
Mm-hmm.
talking to him. And he was like, I'm here for you. We're gonna go through this together. You are not alone. And this was over Christmas break. He literally gave me his cell phone number over the Christmas break. And he was like, if you have any questions, anything you want to talk about, do not hesitate to call me. He was like, I don't care if it's Christmas Day and I'm sitting around eating with my family. He was like, I don't care. Call me. And he was like, you are not alone. I'm going to be there right there. I'm going to be right with you by your side the entire time. No, he was like, I don't know exactly what the future holds, but I'll be there. And he has kept his word. And he told me I was his daughter.
Mm.
And he's a believer.
That's what you that with a situation with having SB scoliosis and now having bladder cancer. That's what you need. You need the knowledge of them, like people. My godfather, he's a psychologist. Yes, I have the degrees, yes, I have this and that, but I'm just practicing because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know everything. There's still some stuff
Right.
I don't know. So
Mm-hmm.
there's stuff that the doctor may know, but he don't know
Yep.
everything. He's still practicing. And
Mm-hmm.
every case
Right.
is a practice. And
Right.
so he needs that higher, every doctor needs that higher power to help them, to help their patients.
Right.
So it's good to hear that you have
Yeah.
somebody that is a believer helping you through this journey.
Yeah, he's been amazing. So we went from there. When he told me that, like, I didn't know what to do with myself that day. So my mom found out and she took it. I'm pretty sure she was hurting inside, but she didn't show it. She was trying to be strong for me. And once word got around, to my siblings, they just slowly started trickling in, coming to our house. And they ended up taking me out. They were like, you do not need to sit in the house. We're gonna go out. I think we went like Christmas shopping and went to go eat at the mall or something. Excuse me. And they helped me get my mind off of it. After that, after the initial diagnosis and everything, I was like, so what are the next steps? He was like, so he told me it was stage 3, muscle invasive. It was basically, it had gone through the muscle of my bladder. And the female bladder is really thin. I didn't know we had thin bladders. And
We
it
have
went,
splatters.
yeah. Excuse me, I should have brought my water. Um, but he was like, it's gone through the bladder. It was trying to get to other places. Thank God it did it. He was like, yeah, so we're gonna have to take your bladder. I was like, what? Say what now? Run that by me again. You gonna have to do what? He was like, yeah, we're gonna have to take your bladder. I was like, I can live without a bladder? He was like, yeah, I never really realized it. The only sole purpose of the bladder is to hold urine. That's all it does. I was like, oh, so I don't need it? He was like, no. I was like, okay, so if that's how you, but I was so adamant. I was like, nope, I don't, you're not taking my bladder. I went to go get a second opinion. And the second opinion doctor, he said the very same thing as my oncologist. I was like, dang, y'all just determined to, take my bladder. I'm like, okay, whatever. And after probably a couple weeks, because I was initially supposed to have surgery February, I think 6th, but I ended up catching C. diff again. And he was like, I don't want to operate on you, and you have this, situation going on because it can cause, infection. So he was like, I want you to get rid of that. So they gave me more of the vancomycin, which is to treat the colitis C. diff. So I actually ended up having surgery March 6th. I had what they call what is it called? A radical cystectomy. Basically, he took my bladder, and I also had to have a hysterectomy because bladder cancer, any type of cancer, is really tricky. And he took all of those other nearby organs because it's known to travel. And by it already being muscle invasive, and it was also on a few of my pelvic lymph nodes. So he had to take those out as well. So by him taking all of that, from down there, it had nowhere to travel down there. So that surgery that happened March 6th of this year.
This year, right?
Yeah, of this year. Um and God is so good because not because I'm coughing. um I wish he would take this cough away. Um, but he's so good because a radical cystectomy, I had it done robotically, and which I don't think I would ever want to have another surgery as an open surgery. I want to have it done robotically because the surgery itself was, we thought that it was going to be like a 4 or 5 hour surgery, but it ended up being an 8 to 9 hour surgery. Yeah. And he did it robotically. And I think I have like maybe 4, maybe 5 incisions, and they're literally like about that big. So he went in, he was guiding the robot that had these little tools, and he literally went in through those really small incisions and took all of that. You can't even really tell I had surgery. And so he took all of those my female organs out. He took my bladder out, and what he did was to create another bladder, which is wild to me. He took my tissue from my large intestines, because he said our large intestines is, I think he said about 12 feet. Yeah, it's
Really long.
really long. So he took some from that, and he created what they call a stoma. And he created that on the side of my belly button. So I now had to have a pouch to catch the urine that comes out of the stoma. And as far as I know, and I pray to God, I believe that I still am, but as of surgery, I was cancer free.
Hallelujah.
I didn't know that for a very long time. I was kind of confused until I saw him, was it September? I saw him, I believe August, not August. Wait, what month we in?
We're in
October.
October. That's what we're doing this, Yvonne. Look, the year has gone by fast. So
It really has.
I don't fault
I
you.
saw him, I think it was the end of August. Yeah, it was the end of August I saw him. And he was saying, as far as he knows, after surgery or doing surgery, he removed everything. And but I did have to go through Oh, and I skipped this part. So surgery was 8 to 9 hours long.
Mhm.
Usually a person who has that type of surgery, they're in the hospital for like 12 days or so. I was in and out of the hospital in like 3.5 days. No complications, no pain. They sent me home with like all of this pain medicine and didn't have to take any of it. So he has really been showing his hand. And then shortly after that, um, they were saying because of, cancer is so tricky and sometimes it's known to try to come back, I had to end up doing chemo. Chemo is not your friend. It's not my friend, at least.
Yeah.
It's so harsh to the body. Even though it kills one bad thing, it could kill other good things. So, it goes in to kill all of your cells. Well, yeah, pretty much all of your cells. That's why you lose your hair, your skin turns colors, all these different side effects. And I started May of this year, and I think I did probably 3 rounds, I believe. And after that, I prayed about it. I talked to my pastor about it. I talked to my family about it. And I told them, I don't want to do chemo anymore because for one, I had an allergic reaction. So I was literally itching, burning, and peeling from my head to my knees. It didn't bother my feet, but I was literally like burning, itching, and peeling all over my body. And I turned dark as my hair. Like that's how it was turning my skin colors. It was just really doing me bad. And it also causes like your glucose levels to just be haywire. Kidney function had went down tremendously. Like it just was causing a lot of things. And I was like, I don't do it anymore. So they were doing it as a like a maintenance or as a precaution. And along with the chemo, I was also doing I'm also doing immunotherapy. I'm still doing immunotherapy. I was doing it every 3 weeks, but now I go every 6 weeks. And immunotherapy is pretty much it instead of it killing all of your cells, it identifies and kills cancer cells. So you don't lose your hair, you don't have like all these bad allergic reactions. Now you do, experience some side effects. That's where this cough is coming from. So you do deal with some things, but it's not to that extreme with chemo. So I've been doing really good in spite
So
of
go
the
ahead.
diagnosis. Oh no, I was just gonna say in spite of the diagnosis.
So why wasn't that the first cause of action? If it goes specifically to possible cancer cells, why did why was chemo chosen as the first option versus the immunotherapy, and that just not be the end all be all?
Um, to me, I really think it's just for them to make money. Honestly, that's why I stopped the chemo because I was not about to be another ticket to your vacation.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Um,
I said in the beginning of this conversation. I said this country's greedy, right?
mhm. So and I know everybody's situation is different, and they have like so many different, excuse me, they have so many different treatments out there to treat cancer. But unfortunately, I didn't qualify for most of them because of my kidney situation. It's really low. Thankfully, it's not, and I pray that it never gets to dialysis low, but it's, lower than what most of the treatment requires. And I don't want to risk, making them any worse than what they are. Um, so with the immunotherapy, I don't really they it kind of most of the time it kind of goes hand in hand with the chemotherapy. But I'm like, the same God that can work through the chemo can work through the immuno and my faith. That's it. And I'm like, I'm good with whatever happens. I know I'm not gonna leave here anytime. I know I gotta leave here one day, but I don't think it's gonna be anytime soon. God still has some things that he needs for me to do. And I feel like this is one of them, telling my story, bringing more awareness and letting people know that God is able the weapon may form, but it won't prosper. The cancer may have formed, but it ain't prospering.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't, I, it's so much to learn about chemo and cancer and immunotherapy because I had no idea. I'm like, who? I thought immunotherapy I was going to be taking some vitamins. I didn't know. I had no idea. So I'm on a medicine called Keytruda. I don't know if you've ever
Oh,
seen
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, the
commercials.
commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I take Keytruda every 6 weeks now. And so far, I had a scan what was that? Probably almost a month ago. Everything was clear. So he's still in the miracle business. He's my own doctor. He's Middle Eastern,
Mm-hmm.
not the one who did the surgery, but my
Your
treatment.
PCP.
No, not my PCP. He's my oncologist, but he's in charge of just the treatment.
Mm-hmm.
He works with my other oncologist, but he mainly just sees me for treatment. But the other day, he said, he was like, "You're a miracle."
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask that.
Yeah. I was like, I know. I
I've
know.
been on that. I got
Yeah.
everything. I've been
This
on that.
just this just adds to God's resume.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a journey. It's been almost December be a year since I was diagnosed. And it's been a hell of a ride.
Yeah.
But hey, God knows what to give you. He knows what you can handle.
Um, well, you answered that. What was your reaction when the doctors told you that you had it? So, not just having stage one, not just having stage two, but stage three.
That's what I said. I was like, what happened to stage 1 and 2?
Mm.
Where did they go? So
So, because
that's what I was saying. I don't know how long I had it.
so because you don't know when they were treating you for UTI, they were
Yeah.
mistreating you.
Yep. And I never knew that by us using a catheter made us more prone to bladder cancer. So I advise anybody who uses a catheter frequently, go get your cystoscopy, please. Because
And what is that?
I was like, had I known, I would have been right there on that table.
So, what is that?
A cystoscopy is basically where they, like I was saying earlier, it's kind of like a pap smear, but instead they're looking at your bladder and the walls of your bladder and the muscles, and it can I think it can kind of, I don't think it can diagnose bladder cancer, but it can tell you what is what in your bladder. I used to see my urologist like once, maybe twice a year, but he never said anything. So I'm like, I didn't know I had never really heard of cystoscopies or anything, and I never really had a need, I guess, to get one, but now I know I should have been getting one. So
Yeah, I haven't been to the urologist in over 2 years. The last time I had one was or went to go see one when I was living in Virginia, and that was over 2 years ago.
mm-hmm.
Just about 2 years ago, because I came back in December. Or no, again, I forgot. And I had the what I was saying, where they see how much your bladder can can hold. That's the last test I had, and everything came back good from it.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess Yvonne said that I should go and get me
Yeah. So we
checked.
rebuke all cancer in the name of Jesus.
It,
And that look, that's what I was doing, but somehow it still tried to show its face, but it's still defeated.
yeah. I was gonna ask who's the first person you told, but your mama was
My
there.
mom, yeah.
How has getting through this process been?
Whew. It's been a journey. Many tears of sadness, many tears of why. I think this was my first time ever asking God why. I'm like, God, I can handle spina bifida.
Mm.
I can handle the wheelchair. I can handle the what I used to have to calf. I could handle. I hated that too, but it was what it was. I could handle, all these other things that I've been through. But bladder cancer and stage 3, I'm like, God, why? Like, why? Like, I mean, I ain't gonna say you could have given me something else because it could have been worse. So
Yeah.
I try not to be ungrateful because it could have been so much worse. It could have gone the way that it was supposed to go when people are diagnosed with stage 3 cancer of any kind. Most of the time it turns into 4 and, so on. And you leave this earth pretty much. But I'm still here to tell the story and I will never be quiet about it. But yeah, that was my first time ever questioning God. And slowly but surely, those tears of sadness turned into tears of thanksgiving and tears of gratefulness, tears of joy, tears of, I got this. I'm trying to make the tears go back.
No, cry with me. Cry with me. I'm not gonna cry this whole episode
No,
by myself, Yvonne.
no. But yeah, tears of thankfulness and just grateful for life. Like it really opens your eyes of how short life is, how things can change in an instant. Um, and it really, really gives you a chance to really take God at his word because I was like, Lord, well, you heard what they said, and can't nobody turn it around but you. It's like I had, literally I accepted cancer. Not saying that I waddled in sadness or, but I was like, it is what it is. I was afraid of dying, not dying in itself, but how I mean, we don't know how we're gonna leave this earth, but I really thought cancer was gonna take me out. And I just was like, Lord, it's nothing I can do about it. No matter how hard I try, it's in your hands and I trust you. You do all things well. You're perfect in all your ways. And I know that you didn't give me this to destroy me, but you gave it to me for you to somehow get the glory out of it. And now I see that he is slowly but surely turning the diagnosis around. And he's allowing me to defy the odds and do things like he literally has the doctors scratching their head.
Yeah.
Like they've seen cases, where people beat it and things like that, but not stage 3. So yeah, God is amazing.
Um, let me see. What is the toughest? What has been the toughest thing about going through this journey?
Losing my hair. I'm like, God, do you know how long and how hard I worked to grow this
Yeah.
stuff? It's probably him choking me like, girl, shut up. Oh, goodness. But no, that not to sound vain or anything like that, but the Bible says your hair is your glory.
You took your words right out my mouth.
Yeah, like that's what the word says. I think I went natural in 2014.
I went in 13.
I believe. Yeah, I think it was 2014. And I love my like you before that you couldn't pay me to believe I was gonna love my natural hair. I was
Yeah.
like, I can't do that. I need my I can't deal with all that. And once I saw like the growth and the healthiness of it, I was like, oh yeah, I got this. And going out buying all the different products and all that kind of stuff. And um then to just like it chemo literally it took my hair like that. And I don't know if you've ever like paid attention to my hair. I had like a pretty good grade, healthy length of hair. And I had braids in my hair at the time. And it was literally like coming out at the root, like the whole braid would just because at first I started, I'm like, I got a bald spot. Like I mean, because I've had one, I have like a tiny bald spot from my spinal fusion surgery that never like it'll grow around that area, then it'll kind of break off. And then I'm like, no, wait, it's more little pieces. Like, what is going on? And I took a picture of my head and I was like, my hair is falling out. And I cried my eyes out.
And that was from the chemo.
Mm-hmm. It was so strong. Like, it took my hair, it was literally the second treatment.
Wow.
It took it out so fast. I think, I started that Monday after Mother's Day. No, that Thursday after Mother's Day. And by my second treatment, 2 weeks later, that's when it started falling out. Mm-hmm. And it was hard. It was tough. Like to see your body change like that, not just losing my hair, but like my skin getting darker. I didn't recognize myself. Like when my mom, she literally saw me transform to what the chemo was doing to my body. And I didn't know at first. Like you could see like my smile lines, it was dark all right. Like it was just dark lines right here. My eyebrows were gone. Like it was bad. And I didn't know until one day I looked in the mirror and I just cried some more.
And so those grew back in?
Yes, the minute I stopped the chemo, it hair grew back in places I didn't even want it to come back. I was like, now, Lord, you could have left it alone right there. But I mean, it was bad. I even had to go to a dermatologist because all of the medicine, the different things, the skin creams and stuff that they were prescribing, nothing worked. Nothing worked. The only thing that worked, my mom went back to the old school. Mm-hmm. Cocoa butter and calamine lotion. Mm-hmm. I was walking around here looking like, yeah, I was around here walking around looking like Casper. She was like, no, don't put so much on. I was like, use the whole thing. And I would literally like, in order for me to like be comfortable and sleep, I would have to take 2 Benadryls at a time just to really get some good sleep, like actual rest. Wow. And it was just really bad. Wow. So
Um, well, I think you talked about that already. Do you want or can you speak on the moment that inspired your recent post about the call you received from your doctor a few days ago? What do you
Okay,
want?
yeah, that was what I was saying a minute ago about he one of my oncologists, he was basically saying I'm a miracle. He was
Why
he
did he
had
say that?
huh?
Why did he say it?
You said when or why?
Yeah, no, why? Why did he say
Why?
it? Hmm.
I went in for this was the other day at treatment
Hmm.
October 3rd.
Hmm.
And I went in because normally I'll see him like when I'm before I get in the chemo chair. Well, they still call it the chemo chair, even though I'm still doing immunotherapy. So I usually see him, at the chair. He comes where I am. But this time I had to go into his office. And we were just chatting. Sometimes, well, all the time, when I meet with him or talk with him, he'll ask me, what's going on, what's changed, how do you feel? And so this time I was just like, I feel good. I have like my days where I don't feel good sometimes, like right after treatment with the immunotherapy. Sometimes it can make you feel a little exhausted that first day, but I kind of shake it off sometimes. Sometimes I'm able to, sometimes I'm not. I just have to just lay down and lounge around for that day or the next day. But I told him, I was like, overall, I feel really good. And he was like, you look good. He was like, you don't look like what you've been through. And he's like, yeah, you're a miracle. That was what inspired him to say that. Like, because I literally go in there, I tell him about my rough moments, but the rough moments don't always last long. It may seem long, like the Bible says, we may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Like, thankfully, I've had more ups than I've had downs in this journey with cancer. You know, in the beginning with the diagnosis, when you get diagnosed with things like that, you just automatically think the worst. And of course, as believers, we're not supposed to do that and we try not to, but we're still human. And just, it's okay to have those moments, but it's vital that we don't stay there. So yeah, that was why he called me a miracle, because I was like, hey, bruh, I feel good.
um, what has having SB and now bladder cancer taught you about yourself, your faith, and God?
For myself, like I was saying earlier, if I had a song that represented my life, it would be Whitney Houston, I Didn't Know My Own Strength. Um Going through this journey with SB and bladder cancer, it has really taught me that, especially with bladder cancer, it has really taught me that I'm stronger than what I give myself credit for. I can face anything, I can do anything as long as I have and keep God as the center. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. That's the biggest message for my journey. Yeah.
Is there anything is there anything else you want to say that my questions didn't prompt you to say or you want to express?
Um, get your cystoscopies. If you use what, even if you don't use a catheter, I mean, it can happen to anybody. So it's always good to just, and I need to be talking to myself too,
Mhm.
because I don't like going to the doctor as much as I have to go now. I'm like, oh God, I got to go again. Um, but yeah, um, get your cystoscopies. Um, always trust God. And wait, what was the question again? Am I veering? I'm always
Yeah, is there anything that you want to say that my questions didn't prompt you to say?
um
and
Those are some really good questions.
that you think you is important to say. Thank you.
Those are some really good questions.
Thank you.
Um, no, I think you covered everything. And if you didn't cover, I went over into another totally different conversation and
We
probably covered it.
we did. Yvonne, I truly enjoyed this time. I
Likewise.
I thank you. I thank you for agreeing to do this. And life happens. I know we were supposed to do it during Bladder Cancer Awareness Month,
Wait,
but
when is A, right?
I think, yeah, because that was the last message that we had
I'm supposed to know that.
before a couple of days ago. I was looking, I was like, wow, it's been May. I didn't think it was that long, but it happened at the right time.
Yes.
It happened in our month.
See, God, he said he need, not that he really needed the time,
Yeah,
but he wanted more time so he can
yeah,
just add to
yeah.
that testimony. And yeah,
Yes, yes,
he knew
yes.
what he was doing.
Because you probably weren't at that point of being told you're a miracle, being done with
Right,
chemo,
right.
in immunotherapy, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you weren't at those places right now. So we needed
Right.
to hear the whole story. No,
Mm-hmm.
because you are overcome. That's what it says. Overcome. We can't be
Amen.
overcome by my testimony. But again, I thank you for this. I
No
thank you
problem.
for
Thank you for the opportunity.
welcome. Thank you that God has brought you where He has brought you.
Yes,
I
Lord.
pray that you continue to prosper and you continue healing. Um, like not only are you amazing, but I see that God is amazing, more amazing than I already knew He was through talking to you. Like,
Amen. Thank you. I appreciate that. To God be the glory.
yeah,
And likewise.
thank you. Um, so yeah, so guys, thank you for watching. If you watched all 3.5 hours, however long it
That's
was, or if you watched,
crazy.
but yeah, I truly enjoyed this. Thank you for watching, you all. Continue to watch my episodes because they are inspiring. Each episode that I do is more and more. I get something out of it, so I hope you get something out of it when you watch. Um, I'm just so full. I'm just so overwhelmed, as I talked about in the beginning, that this was the first time I got to speak with someone that has spina bifida like myself. So this is a blessing, and an overwhelming blessing. And it's good. It's really good. I know you saw the tears, you heard the tears, but it was all good. No sadness, no
Nope,
sadness.
not at all.
And this is not the last time you will see this, the last of Rashon and Yvonne together.
And look, our names rhyme. Rashon and Yvonne. That's
Yes,
crazy.
yes. This will not be the last time. Watch out for our November SB babies.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes. Again, thank you for watching. If you have a testimony that you would like to share, hit me up. The ref at lifeinthedaylightstudios.com. Again, the ref, that's THEREF at lifeinthedaylightstudios.com. Thank you.